A little over a year ago, the end of April last year, I was in New York City, actually to some meetings, and I don't remember what happened. All I knew is that I found out within the next 2 days that I badly broke my left arm about 1.5 inches down from the crown of my shoulder. And what happened, it broke the arm all the way through. There was 4 bone chips floating, and there was also a piece of bone from the bottom of the break that was about 1/3 of an inch wide, and it went down my arm about 2.5 inches where it was still attached to my arm, but it was also out a little over 1/4 of an inch from the bone up there. And I got home, that happened on a Saturday night, and I got home on Tuesday. I saw my doctor on Wednesday, and I saw the bone specialist on Friday. And he said it was as bad a break that he had seen. And he said it was the type of break that would have happened if I had been hit by a car. And I don't remember any of it. Whenever it happened, I woke up in the ambulance going to the hospital. But I had been taking the emulin at that time for approximately a year, and it had worked wonders with me. I had lost some weight. I had also helped me control, I'm a type 2 diabetic. But when I get home and I went to the bone specialist here, and they took the x-rays here, and they said, we're going to have to do one of 2 things. We're going to operate on you right now and put screws in and wires and pins, because he said, you're going to need that. And I said, I would rather not, because I know that will hurt. And I'm a wimp. I hate pain. And he said, okay, here's what we will do. We'll put a cast on and we'll try it for 2 weeks and just see what happens. But he said, with what I've seen, I would imagine what will happen is we will have to take that off and then operate. Now, I never told the doctor that I was taking emulin. And what happened, when I was in New York, I had emulin with me, and I went up, I was taking 5 pills in the morning and 5 pills at night. I really triple dosed, and it wasn't bothering me all that much. It was sore, but not, it wouldn't have you crying. But the doctor here in Charlottetown said, okay, my wife and I were in his office, and he said, well, put the cast on now. And he said, this is really going to hurt. He said, when I do it, he said, I'm not giving you any painkiller, but he said, I guarantee you that you will. He said, it would not surprise me to see you crying. So we went down, and he put the sock on, and then they wet the cast down and put it on my arm. And the part that was sticking out, he said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my hands around it like that and squeeze it back in to where it would reattach to the arm until the cast had hardened, which would take about 8 minutes. And he said, if you want to roar, he said, feel free. He said, no problem, because it is going to hurt. And he did it. It took about almost 10 minutes. And he was looking at me the whole time, and he left, and he said, I want to see you in my office before you leave. And the nurse that was working with him said, how come you didn't yell or anything? Because she said, I've had farmers in here with the same type of break literally crying when he said it. And I told them point blank, I said, I never felt 1 ounce of pain the whole time he was doing it. And by that time, I had been on the emulin, taking it, the triple dose, for about a week. And that's the only thing I never told the doctor until 2 weeks later what I was doing. And when I went back in 2 weeks later and they took x-rays at it, and he took me in the office and he sat me down and he said, "What are you taking?" And I said, "Why?" And he said, "There's something not right here." He said, "Your arm, that break will take between 3.5 to 4 months up to 6 months to fully heal." He said, "Right now," he said, "the bone is already starting to form where it was broken." And he said, within 2.5 to 3 months, he said, "Your arm should be completely normal again." And it was. And the thing is, I told him what I was taking. I told him it was what it was and where he could go to check out on PubMed, and also for Dr. Aarons to check him out. And he did. He come back and he said he's quite a guy. And I said, "Well, why don't you start telling this to some of the people that are," "Oh," he said, "I can't. I'd be fired if I did that." And he said, "I can't." But he said, "Don't ever stop taking that as long as, even after this is healed, don't ever stop taking it. It's too good to be true." And the last thing I want to say is thank you, Doc. Big time appreciate. And I want to tell you, he's got quite a sense of humor, because when we were sitting in the hotel room waiting to go to the airport to fly home, we were there for about an hour and a half, and he said, we were talking about the arm, and he said, "We should run some tests with the emulin." He said, "We'll see how long this takes to heal and the whole thing." And he said, "To run real good tests on this to make sure it works," he said, "we have to break your arm 3 more times." And he said, "That way we'll know whether we'll use different amounts of emulin throughout the whole thing to see if that is what's causing it." I didn't have to, and I wouldn't. But anyway, but again, thank you. And that's my story.